Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your old pal, the KMN 1971, back at it once more with yet another comic book haul. Only my second comic book haul of the year so far, but hey, what can you say? The times they be a changin' as always. Anywho, for this haul, it'll be my usual mixture of keys, first appearances, fillers, some spec books, a couple of variants, and at least one Silver Age book that contains another one of those historic first encounters between two classic Marvel characters, which geeks me out. So, kicking it off, we have Marvel Spotlight, Deadpool, the Deadpool issue, and always love this cover by Ed McGuinness. I believe this was originally used for either Deadpool number 11 and 12 from his first ongoing volume. But if you go back to my very first videos on YouTube, my shiny new properties that I was all about collecting were Deadpool, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Harley Quinn. I mean, sure, I was definitely still into Batman, Conan, Star Wars, the X-Men, as usual. But as we all go through trends as long-term comic book collectors, and I was really, really into those three properties. Nowadays, after about a decade of mediocre and below mediocre content being shoveled at us as a comic book buying audience, all three properties have seen better days, but I'm still fans of all three big time. I'm definitely looking forward to Deadpool 3, and I will be there week 1 for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Hey, you know, it's at least that I'll be getting some good quality content somewhere for these properties. Hopefully someday that quality, that level of quality rather, will return back to the comics. 1602, number 1, Neil Gaiman, Andy Kubert, A-list creative team, and I missed out on this miniseries the first time around, so this was a hot book when it initially came out, and I picked it up for like $2 a couple of weeks ago, so why the heck not? Batman Danger Girl. I've been on the hunt for this J. Scott Campbell cover for a while, and this was a decent crossover too. Lionel Francis Yu on artwork. Hello. I mean, damn. Amazing Spider-Man Free Comic Book Day. I've been a big fan lately over the past 2 years of collecting books that were either giveaways or you had to send away from them. Basically books that you can't buy off the rack. So can't hurt to have a Free Comic Book Day edition of Amazing Spider-Man. That title is, as you know, kind of popular. Spectacular Spider-Man number 200, which features the quote-unquote death of Harry Osborn. And this, believe it or not, is kind of morphed into a low-level $10, $15 key. So if you can pick it up for a couple of bucks, why the heck not? That's my second copy. Filing under why the heck not once again, the Avengers Annual number 21. This is the last part of the Citizen Kang storyline that I needed, and the first appearance of Mr. Timely, yet another Kang variant. So unfortunately I didn't pick this up for $1. I did pay like $3 for it, but considering I picked it up after Quantumania had already come out, not a bad deal. And now at least I have the storyline complete. So there. For the record, I enjoyed Quantumania. I've always viewed Ant-Man out of all the MCU franchises the most family-friendly, kid-oriented franchise. So out of the 3 Ant-Man movies, I actually enjoyed that one the most. And overall, for Marvel Phase 4, MCU Phase 4, Phase 5, it was one of the more enjoyable movies for me anyway. I put it up there with Doctor Strange. So as one of my favorites. So there you go. There's my 2 cents. Speaking of the MCU, here we have Namor the Submariner, number 1 by John Byrne from the 1990s, or rather, as Disney calls him, Namor. So, I guess I was out of comics at this time, so because I was a big fan of John Byrne, still am, so or of his work from back then. So, can't hurt to have this premiere issue. Wonder Woman number 68 newsstand, and number 71. I love these Brian Bolland covers, so anytime I can find them for a couple of bucks out there, I'm definitely picking them up, especially when you can pick them up in a newsstand. Dragonlance, number 1. Yeah, I know. Well, I only paid like $3 or $5 for it, but this was like the flavor of the week FOMO book a couple of weeks ago, so I just can't resist picking one of these, picking one of those books up if I happen to stumble across that out in the wild, so why not? Detective Comics number 569. These next couple of books are all going to be what I view as some 1980s greatest hits for me personally, and they're also doubles. So, Detective Comics 569, classic Joker cover by Alan Davis. The Flash #1. This is the volume that came after Crisis came out back in the 1980s, and this was the volume of Flash for basically my generation, and my favorite Flash too, Wally West. All-Star Squadron #1. I will always pick this book up cheap if I find it out in the wild, and this was actually the very first ongoing premier collector's item first issue purchased for me by my parents way back in the early 1980s, and man, I love this book. Loved it to hell, man. And it's a big reason why I still have a great affection for the Golden Age characters, and this was my introduction to Earth 2 and the whole multiverse, so yeah, love that book. Alpha Flight #51, another book that I cannot resist picking up out on the cheap. First Jim Lee artwork at Marvel. I think that's a big deal. Amazing Spider-Man #290, and this is the issue where Peter proposes to Mary Jane again. All right, make a little room. Here we have Star Wars #22. #23, and #26. So I have once again been kicking around the idea that I want to collect and complete the first Star Wars volume. So I believe this will give me a consecutive run of 1 through 29, and I just need like maybe a handful more issues to have a complete run of consecutive run of 1 through 50. So once that happens, I want to say that I'll only need maybe like 30 more issues to complete the run, or rather the entire series, so awesome. And who didn't love that finale of Mandalorian? That just kicked ass. All right, of course, some Conan the Barbarian comics. So I found a couple more Conan fillers. Conan the Barbarian #31 and #53. And I also went online to purchase another Frank Frazetta masterpiece. I mean, look at that. Let's pull it up a little bit closer. Oops, having failures. Okay, look at that. That is just glorious. Damn. Some great stuff. All right. Also picked up some Superman stuff. Hey. So Superman #264, classic Nick Cardy cover. Nothing really special about it unless you're a Superman collector. This is the first appearance of Steve Lombard, who was a long-time ongoing supporting character for the Superman comics. He was basically Clark Kent's Flash Thompson, the jock bully. So, yeah, and he was introduced in this issue. This issue. So there you go. DC Comics presents #27, first appearance of Mongol, who, yeah, cool. I really, he's actually one of my favorite Superman villains, basically for what he did to Coast City in that incredible Alan Moore story for The Man Who Has Everything. So, love Mongol. Definitely an underutilized character. So, really happy to pick that up finally. Action Comics #521, pretty high grade. I'd say probably like a 9.0 maybe. So first appearance of Vixen, just another one of those first appearances that I'm scratching off the list. So very cool. And Adventure Comics #428, featuring the first appearance of the Black Orchid. So also very cool. I was watching, whose video was it? Bronzeville Comics, I believe, and he had a video probably a couple of months ago that he titled the Gun Effect, and he was going through a bunch of first appearances that he thought that would be pretty cool to pick up before, if potentially before they reach the big or small screen. So a lot of these I had on my list anyway, but it was a nice reminder, so shout out to him. Great channel. Daredevil #52, which features the first encounter between Black Panther and Daredevil. And it's illustrated by one of my all-time top 10 favorite artists, Barry Windsor-Smith. Early Barry Windsor-Smith stuff. So, can't beat that. Beautiful stuff. Tales of Suspense, number 75, featuring Iron Man and Captain America. And this issue happens to feature the first appearance of Sharon Carter, a longtime Captain America supporting character, and Batroc, the assassin, the French assassin. So, very cool to pick that up. Back to a little bit more modern times, we have Superman number 1 from the current volume. And I have to say, last year I was kind of bitching about the quality of comics. At least DC, and I hope I'm not jinxing myself, but this new Dawn of DC initiative, I'm all for it. I mean, they're putting good creative, great writers, and great artists on their most popular characters again. And this is the first time I've picked up a Superman comic since Bendis chased me off the Superman franchise a couple of years ago. So, really stoked to have Superman on my ongoing pull list again. And this has been a great comic. I just picked up number 3 yesterday, and I'll be cracking that bad boy open as soon as this video is over. So, really recommend it. And now, all of a sudden, Batman. DC has Batman, Superman, the JSA, soon to be Titans. Some good quality comics coming out. So if you're still into the superhero genre, DC has been cutting us off some justice. Hopefully, this isn't just for, a trade paperback's worth of content, and they have these creative teams on for a couple of years to have a good run. So, moving on. Angela, the giveaway issue, and this is the 1 in 25 Pirate Spawn variant, featuring the first appearance of Pirate Spawn. Arg. So, I had no idea this comic existed. I picked up the standard edition of this, earlier this year, and I went back into that box, and this was there. So, picked this up, and I didn't know what it was until I actually looked it up. I had no idea that Angela miniseries had an incentive comic that was sent to comic book shops back in the day, and I definitely didn't know that there was a variant for it. So, as far as Spawn collectors go, Spawn has a very loyal fan base also. So, very happy to pick that up. And then, lastly, my pick of the haul, we have The Last of Us number 1. This is the Naughty Dog variant, I believe, that was included with the special edition of the game. So, like millions of people, like millions and millions of people, I fell in love with the Last of Us series on HBO Max. I wasn't sure if I would or not. I wasn't really ready for another zombie apocalypse, but man, it is so good. So good. Such a good show. So, had to run out and pick this up. But unfortunately, as we all know, the standard cover was going for like 500, 600, 700 raw online, so I wasn't about that. So for some reason this variant went for a substantial amount less, at least back then. So I paid with shipping a little over 100 for this. So not bad. It's pretty high grade, probably a VF, because it does have a tough black cover on the back, and there are some spine ticks on the back. So probably brings it down to like an 8.5. But other than that, I mean, the cover itself, the front cover looks like, near mint all day. But did not want to pay those big prices. This does feature the first appearance of Elie, does not feature the first appearance of Joel, just for those keeping score. So that's all I have for this month. I will be back next month with my final double-sized installment of What's in the Spec Box. Thank you for everyone that actually watched that video. It was one of my lowest viewed videos, but hey, they all can't be hits, right? So thank you all for watching, liking, and subscribing, and I'll see you all around next time. Go Celtics!